Hi, welcome to another Dan's Rest Stop. Today I'm going to be talking about whether we can get signs from the other side, which I believe are from God or allowed by God to be sent by someone else. I've only asked God for signs twice in my life, for the people closest to me in my life. One was my dad, and the other was my wife, who passed away in February of 2022. Now, I've already mentioned what happened with my dad in my first faith video and the jacket incident in Chicago in the van. I do believe the signs are customized according to personalities. In the case of my dad, it was a sense of humor. Now, in the case of my wife, it was a little different. And I should mention first what I saw, and then I'll tell you why I think it was customized for her. When I asked for a sign, it was in April of 2023, which actually is a little over a year after she passed away. There's a backstory to this as why I didn't ask for a direct sign earlier, and I will get into that in another video. Anyway, what happened is in May of 2023, I had gone out to this cemetery to visit my wife. It was Mother's Day. I actually had gone the day before Mother's Day. And I had on a t-shirt that had a picture of my wife and me. And while I was there looking at the headstone, I looked down at the headstone. I looked at the headstone, I looked down, and I told my wife I still loved her and missed her. And I looked back up at the headstone, and I looked down again at my shirt. On the t-shirt, there was a ladybug on it. Now, mind you, this is what I'm talking about with customizing signs. My wife was really liked ladybugs. I mean, in fact, her mother did too. When a ladybug used to land on my wife's arm, she would say something, "Oh, Nanny's come to visit me," because since she was a grandma, we used to call her Nanny. So she had a lot of yard decorations that had ladybugs. I'd give her some plants for a special occasion, and a couple of times I gave her, there were ladybug planters that I gave her with the plants in them. So I believe that this sign was one customized for her. Now, I did try to get a photo of the ladybug, but her phone, I was using her old iPhone, and I was having problems. The sun was reflecting off the screen. I couldn't get it focused. And by the time I got really ready for a shot, the ladybug flew away, so I kind of missed that opportunity. Anyway, a few days after the cemetery incident, I was in the front yard with the landscaping. I was actually going to water the lawn, the front lawn, turn on the hose, and a neighbor from across the street came over and said how she liked the landscaping, and I told her about the cemetery incident, and she got in her car, drove off, and as I crouched down to turn on the garden hose, there was a ladybug that landed on my left knee. So I thought, oh, this is great. I'd asked for a sign from God that she was okay, that she was with him. In fact, for both my dad and my wife, that was what was important for me, is that they were both with him. They had both made it. So anyways, so that was in May. In August, now I'm eating breakfast, and I look at the drapes, and there's something on the drapes, and I took a napkin. I said, "What is this?" And it was a dead ladybug. So now I started wondering, what is going on? I've seen live ladybugs. I felt the love. And now I got a dead one. What's happening here? And so I'd actually prayed to God that because I'd asked him for a sign. Am I on the right track? I mean, what is going on here? Two things were revealed to me. One is I had to give more glory and honor to God. And the second one was I was going to be experiencing some spiritual attacks. Now, mind you, I'd already been warned about you would probably be attacked when you do your videos. And for that, I took it to mean, well, there's probably going to be negative comments. But this was a different type of attack. And so I started thinking that maybe this dead ladybug was like a mocking of God. If God sends you a live one, and has shown them love, I'll send you a dead one, is basically what they're saying. So it's a mocking of God. So the next thing that occurred was my wife had done this artwork. She had done years ago from scrap lumber, and she did like this, I guess you could call it a tunnel type picture. And there was bark in there too, down along the railroad tracks that she had made. And what happened was it got infested. The bark part got infested. Now, mind you, one time before that had been infested, but it was years ago, towards when she first made the artwork. And we actually had to have it fumigated. But it had been okay for years. Now, all of a sudden, I have this infestation. After the discovery of the pest, I had another positive, uplifting ladybug sign. I had met with some friends for lunch, and I told them the story about the ladybug at the cemetery and what had happened when I told my neighbor the story. I went out to my pond later that afternoon to turn off the waterfall. Something had landed on my arm, and my initial reaction was to quickly move my hand to get whatever it was off me. I thought it was a fly or mosquito, but when I looked down at the ground, I saw a ladybug. I reached down to the ground and touched it with my finger. It walked up my finger. After this incident occurred, the pest control person came to my house at the end of August. I was telling him, listen, my wife was creative. I can't afford to lose this thing. He wasn't sure what it was. He said it wasn't termites, it wasn't carpenter ants. He thought it was carpet beetles. They were concentrated in the bark on her artwork. So he sprayed it, and he said, leave it out in the garage for a day. You don't want to smell the fumes or whatever. So I left it out in the garage, brought it back in the house, and said, okay, I'm good to go now. The next ladybug sighting, once again, is a dead ladybug sighting. This happens September 5th, 2023. Now, I had gone shopping to a supermarket. I came out to the car, and there on the car, on the door, the driver's door, right below the window and the rubber seal on the window, there was a ladybug on the car. Now, I went to push it. I wanted to see if it was alive, and also I was going to get a picture if I could. Anyway, when I touched it, it fell to the ground. It was dead. So then I started thinking, oh no, another dead ladybug. What is going on here? But then I started to recall that it was a Labor Day weekend that I had met my wife 53 years earlier. It was in 1970. It was that weekend. And then I looked at the calendar because I said, well, this is September 5th. What day did I meet her? I went back to 1970, and that was a Saturday. And I'm almost positive that was the day I met her because I had been stationed at Fort Ord and I was working on that Friday. And there were some trainees that I went to Santa Cruz with, and we had to take the bus because none of us had cars. And if I remember correctly, we went on a Saturday morning and met my wife later that Saturday. And that Sunday we had gone to tourist type things, like we had gone to the mystery spot, and then Monday everyone went home. So it appears that that dead ladybug was almost 53 years to the day that I had met her. So now we had another dead ladybug. So I started to think, are these the attacks that I was being warned about that were going to occur? Was Satan and his demons mocking God and saying, okay, he gave you a live ladybug, I'm going to give you a dead one. And you're going to have, you know, ladybug is a type of beetle, carpet beetles is another type of beetle, but not necessarily ones you want. So I'll give you this type of beetle. So it sure seemed like what was happening was I was getting good and evil. In November, the carpet beetles were back. Now, the pest control guy this time, he said, okay, we're going to spray it. We're going to make sure the eggs don't come back. And you know, we need to keep it out in the garage. So, and in the cold, in the garage, in a plastic bag. So we sealed it in a plastic bag in the garage. And I waited, I believe it was like 17 days before I went out there to bring it back in the house. Anyway, when I took the plastic off, I could see whatever there was, insects and stuff. As I held it up, there was something that fell off it, a rather large looking bug compared to what else was there. So I looked down on the garage floor, and there was a live ladybug. Now, mind you, the other stuff, whatever was on there, was being killed by whatever they sprayed on it. But there was a live one, and I did manage to get a photo of the live ladybug. I want people to be able to see this thing, so I scooped it. I had it on a piece of cardboard, then I put it on a white cover from a plastic bin, so you could easily see it. And I did manage to get a photo of the ladybug, near the artwork. So after that experience, I thought, well, there's a lesson to be learned from this, and that's good can conquer evil. That here it was, this evil, these pests were on my wife's artwork, and here comes, after the pests are done in on the artwork, here comes a live ladybug to show that good can conquer evil. Now, mind you, it was only one battle in the war, because in December, the carpet beetles were back. What had happened is, I think there was a cloth greeting card in there, a Valentine that I had gotten my wife, and the pest control guy and I had come to the conclusion that they were probably attracted to the cloth. They were really in that bowl more than anywhere else. So since then, I've cleaned that up. But I think what it teaches you is that your battle against evil continues, and you have to be vigilant no matter what. And the only way evil will ever be totally destroyed is when Jesus returns. That's all I have for now. Goodbye.